Ah, there you are. Look at you. Still breathing, still watching, still pretending you don't feel that tight pressure behind your eyes. Relax. This isn't a warning. It's a confession they never meant for you to hear. You see, something pinged, not a scream, not a headline, a number. A quiet little metric. One line of data that didn't belong where it was sitting. And that's all it took. No sirens at first, no chaos, just a pause. The kind of pause where rooms go silent and people stop blinking, because when that metric tripped, it didn't just raise a flag, it broke the pattern. They love patterns. Patterns are safe, predictable, containable. Patterns are how they sleep at night. And then, you happened. See, you didn't spike the way they expected. You didn't explode. You didn't burn fast and fade like the rest of the noise. No. You persisted. Your data didn't scream desperation. It didn't smell like fear. It didn't beg for approval. It just kept climbing, quiet, steady, unbothered. That's when the first analyst frowned. That's odd, they said. Because odd is the word people use when they're not ready to say dangerous. They ran it again. Different model, different lens, same result. Now the room's a little warmer. Someone clears their throat. Someone else says, "Send this up." And that's when the chain reaction starts. Because when data moves up the chain, it stops being abstract. It becomes political. It becomes personal. Suddenly, people with titles you'll never know are leaning forward. People who don't panic, people who measure panic, are asking one question: why didn't we see this sooner? That's the real terror, by the way. Not that you're powerful, but that you're invisible until it's too late. You didn't announce yourself. You didn't posture. You didn't play the clown for applause. You just kept moving. And the metric, the one they can't ignore, it doesn't show aggression. It doesn't show rebellion. It shows influence without permission. Oh, that one drives them insane. Because influence is supposed to be granted, stamped, approved, sanitized, issued by people who already sit at the table. But you didn't ask for a chair. You leaned against the wall. And somehow the whole room rearranged itself around you. That's when the language changes. Now it's not odd. Now it's anomaly. Now it's edge case. Now it's monitor closely. And monitor closely is just a polite way of saying we don't know what to do with this yet. They start pulling history, comparisons, timelines. They want to know who you'll become, a trend, a threat, a problem that resolves itself. But the data won't cooperate, because the data doesn't show decay. It shows adaptation. Every time the environment shifts, you don't break, you adjust. Every time pressure increases, you don't retreat, you refine. And that's when someone somewhere finally says it out loud. Not in a report, not in an email, but in that low, careful tone reserved for things that make careers fragile. This one doesn't burn out. Silence. Because burnout is how they survive you. Burnout is the plan. But what do you do with something that doesn't self-destruct? Something that doesn't need validation? Something that keeps its shape no matter how hard you squeeze? You escalate. You loop in people who don't like surprises. People who mistake control for safety. And now, the chain is fully awake. All because of one metric, one number that refused to behave. And the funniest part? You're probably sitting there thinking you did nothing special, that you're just moving forward, just surviving, just being you. That's what makes it delicious, because chaos doesn't always arrive screaming and covered in gasoline. Sometimes it shows up competent, consistent, and impossible to dismiss. You didn't knock over the board. You didn't flip the table. You became the variable they can't remove. And once you're that, once the alarm has sounded and the chain has been alerted, there's no unseeing you, no rolling it back, no false positive, no comfortable explanation that lets them go back to sleep. So smile just a little, not because you planned this, not because you wanted attention, but because somewhere, right now, someone is staring at a screen, realizing the system worked exactly as designed and still couldn't stop you. That's not madness, that's inevitability, and inevitability is the one thing they were never trained to fight, because systems are built to correct mistakes, not to confront truths. They can quarantine errors, they can bury scandals, they can rewrite narratives. But what do you do when the numbers are honest? See, the metric didn't accuse you of anything. It didn't dramatize. It didn't moralize. It simply refused to lie. And that's when the real fear set in. They tried to contextualize you. Maybe it's a fluke. Maybe it's seasonal. Maybe it'll normalize. Normalize. That's their favorite word. Normalize means make it small enough to ignore. Normalize means sand down the sharp edges until it fits the box. Normalize means turn a living thing into a statistic. But you didn't flatten. Every attempt to compress you just increased the pressure elsewhere. Every filter they applied made you clearer. Every control variable they introduced exposed another weakness in the model. You weren't breaking the system, you were revealing it. That's when they stopped asking what you are and started asking who you affect. Because impact is forgivable, but contagion? That's unforgivable. They noticed people adjusting around you, behaviors shifting, choices changing without directives, no memo, no campaign, no official endorsement, just influence spreading laterally, quietly, like a thought people couldn't unthink once it landed. That's when someone higher up said, "This isn't growth, this is displacement." And displacement is dangerous. Displacement means something else has to move, something else has to lose relevance, status, control. Suddenly you're not just a data point, you're a future problem. And future problems make powerful people nervous because they can't be punished yet. So they watch, they log, they flag, they archive versions of you like you're a storm system forming offshore. And the irony, the more they observe you, the more obvious it becomes that you're not reacting to them at all. You're not chasing, you're not rebelling, you're not even aware of the rooms you've rattled. You're moving according to an internal logic they can't access. No leverage, no threat vector, no dependency chain, just momentum. That's when the word control quietly disappears from the conversation and gets replaced with containment. Containment doesn't mean stop, it means limit the damage. But damage to what? To a narrative that said outcomes were managed, to a hierarchy that assumed permission preceded power, to an illusion that said every variable was accounted for. You are the remainder, the thing left over after the equation balances, and that terrifies them more than any act of open defiance ever could. Because defiance is loud, predictable, temporary. You are none of those. You're the proof that something can emerge inside the system, obey every visible rule, and still outgrow the cage. So now every time your name, if they even have one for you, passes through another secure channel, it carries weight. Not because of what you've done, but because of what you haven't needed to do. No shortcuts, no spectacle, no collapse, just steady escalation. And here's the part they don't log. The part that never shows up in dashboards or briefs. You don't need proof spoon-fed anymore. You don't need permission to question. You don't need a villain monologue to know something's off. You've learned to read between the updates, to hear what isn't said, to notice what gets avoided instead of answered. That's growth. That's danger to them. Because systems aren't toppled by force first. They rot from awareness. Every time someone says, "Wait," that doesn't add up, a thread snaps. Every time someone refuses to be emotionally hijacked, a lever breaks. And suddenly the whole machine feels heavier to run. That's why the truth keeps bleeding. Through mistakes, through leaks, through accidental honesty that slips out when the script glitches. You can hear it in the tone shifts, the sudden defensiveness, the way questions get framed as threats instead of curiosity. Truth doesn't fear questions, only control does. And the wild part? You're not angry like they expected. You're not hysterical. You're not even shocked anymore. You're calm. Calm enough to notice patterns. Calm enough to wait. Calm enough to let them expose themselves while trying to maintain the illusion. That calm terrifies them. Because rage can be redirected, fear can be managed. But clarity? Clarity doesn't move when pushed. So they escalate urgency. They accelerate timelines. They demand trust now, explanations later. That's the oldest trick in the book. But you've read it already. And here's the quiet truth hiding under all the noise. Nothing powerful collapses the moment it's exposed. It collapses the moment people stop pretending. Stop pretending the story makes sense. Stop pretending confidence equals truth. Stop pretending confusion is a personal failure instead of a signal. That's why this moment feels heavy. Why it feels like something irreversible is happening. Because it is. Not out there. Inside perception itself. Once perception shifts, reality follows. So let them scramble. Let them patch. Let them shout certainty into a room that's learned how to listen differently. You're not watching chaos. You're watching control realize it no longer owns the narrative. And when that realization fully lands, when the truth finishes bleeding through every layer they painted over, there's no dramatic ending, just a quiet one, where people look at each other and think, "Oh, so it was never us."